Microsoft says its 10-hour outage started with a DDoS attack but was made worse by their defensive reaction. The Canadian Privacy Commissioner is investigating Ticketmaster on behalf of Canadians whose data was affected. A major U.S. blood bank serving several states is paralyzed by a ransomware attack, and the lawsuits have started pouring in from the CrowdStrike outage, not all of them from customers. Welcome to Cybersecurity Today. I'm your host, Jim Love. On July 30th, 2024, Microsoft faced a major global outage affecting multiple services, including Microsoft 365, Azure, and even Minecraft. The disruption lasted nearly 10 hours, and our sources correctly told us that the episode was triggered by a distributed denial of service, or DDoS, cyber attack. But there's more. Microsoft later confirmed that an error in their DDoS protection mechanisms actually amplified the attack's impact instead of mitigating it. The resulting outage affected services globally, including Azure App Services, the Azure Portal, Microsoft 365, and a pile of other services. To resolve the issue, Microsoft's team implemented network configuration changes and rerouted traffic along alternate paths. And in about 10 hours, systems were largely back up and running. Microsoft has promised to publish a preliminary post-incident review within 72 hours and provide more details about the incident and their response. They've also advised users to set up Azure Services Health Alerts to stay informed about future issues. The event highlights the ongoing challenges in cybersecurity and the potential far-reaching impacts of such attacks on global digital infrastructure. The incident occurred less than 2 weeks after another major IT outage caused by a flawed CrowdStrike update. And while we can beat up on CrowdStrike or Microsoft, we have to ask, when do these isolated failures turn into a wake-up call? Most CIOs and CISOs know that what we've seen is the symptom of a much larger issue. As one very astute senior IT exec told us, expect more catastrophic failures because the onslaught of digitization post-pandemic is on a legacy infrastructure with single points of failure, archaic designs never designed to withstand the load, the scope, and the scale of what we see today. Monolithic architectures still exist, and when they break, everything breaks. Yet nobody wants to invest in updating the foundation. The Privacy Commissioner of Canada has launched an investigation into Ticketmaster Canada, following a major cybersecurity breach that affected millions of people worldwide. The probe comes as data breaches continue to rise in both frequency and complexity. The investigation will examine Ticketmaster's compliance with Canada's federal privacy law, focusing on the company's security measures and how it handled breach notifications. Ticketmaster's parent company, Live Nation Entertainment, manages ticket sales and distribution in Canada, but is headquartered in the United States. Privacy Commissioner Philippe Dufresne emphasized the gravity of the situation, stating, "Data breaches have surged over the last decade, and we have seen a significant increase in the scale and complexity of these incidents. Ticketmaster holds the personal information of millions of Canadians." The Commissioner added that the investigation aims to uncover why this cyber incident occurred and determine necessary steps to prevent future occurrences. As this investigation is ongoing, the Privacy Commissioner's Office has not released further details. A ransomware attack on OneBlood, a major blood donation nonprofit in the U.S., has severely disrupted blood supply operations across 4 southeastern U.S. states. The cyber attack has forced OneBlood to revert to manual processes, significantly slowing down their ability to collect, test, and distribute blood to over 250 hospitals in Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. OneBlood spokesperson Susan Forbes explained the impact. These manual processes take significantly longer to perform and impact inventory availability. As a result, hospitals have been asked to activate their critical blood shortage protocols. In response, blood centers nationwide are rallying to support OneBlood. There's an urgent need for O-positive, O-negative, and platelet donations. While cybersecurity specialists and government agencies work to restore OneBlood's systems, details about the attack's origin and the potential data theft remain unclear. This incident echoes a similar attack on a New England pathology services lab in June, highlighting the growing vulnerability of healthcare systems to cybercrime. As the investigation continues, OneBlood emphasizes the critical need for blood donations to manage the ongoing shortage caused by this cyber attack, underscoring the real-world impact of digital threats on public health. And in a series of escalating events, cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike is facing legal challenges on multiple fronts following a disastrous software update in July. The company is now battling both corporate giants and individual investors over the incident that crashed millions of Windows systems worldwide. In one example, Delta Airlines CEO Ed Bastian publicly criticized CrowdStrike and Microsoft for the outage that reportedly cost the airline $500 million. Speaking on CNBC, Bastian said, "If you're going to have priority access to the Delta ecosystem in terms of technology, you've got to test this stuff." And although Delta has hired a high-profile attorney, suing CrowdStrike on the basis of the update might be an uphill battle, as most license agreements contain a limitation of liability clause, which limits damages, usually to either the amount paid in licenses or to some predictable multiple of that amount. But given the stakes, we may be in a position to find out how well those clauses will hold up in a situation like this. But there's also another type of lawsuit that could come from companies who have not signed licenses. Adding to CrowdStrike's woes, the Plymouth County Retirement Association has filed a class action lawsuit in Texas federal court. The pension fund accuses CrowdStrike, CEO George Kurtz, and CFO Bert Podbear of defrauding shareholders with false claims about their Falcon software's reliability. The lawsuit alleges that CrowdStrike's lack of proper testing procedures led to substantial reputational harm and financial losses for investors. According to the complaint, CrowdStrike's stock tumbled more than 11% following the incident, with further drops after congressional inquiries and analyst downgrades. CrowdStrike maintains that the investor lawsuit lacks merit and promises to vigorously defend the company, which they have to do. This is only one investor of many, and lawsuits of this nature could be extremely costly. We'll be digging deeper into these issues on our weekend show with our expert panel. Please join us when the Weekend Review is launched late tonight for early Saturday morning. And that's our show. You can find the show notes with the links at technewsday.com or .ca. Take your pick. And Cybersecurity returns to its 3 shows a week, although next week, because of the holiday, our first show of the week will be on Wednesday. I'm your host, Jim Love. Thanks for listening.